Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Henry Zano, and this is episode 98 of the award-winning, hard-hitting Affiliate Party Podcast. Today, we are coming to you live from the mean streets of, where am I at? Arkansas or Texas, one or two, everybody. Sometimes, one thing about this, well, you all know, once you get closer to the the end of a state. Let's say if I'm in Louisiana, if I'm driving through Shreveport, I-20, shout out. You drive to Shreveport, the closer you get to Shreveport, past Shreveport, it starts to look like Texas. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Because I'm closer to Texas now. So all the terrain and everything starts to look kind of like the next state. It's like when you're driving, well, you know what I mean. It's like if I'm going from Missouri to Arkansas, once I get past Carruthersville, look it up, kids. Once I get past Carruthersville, I'm like, okay, this gotten real flat. It's starting to look more and more like Arkansas. Then boom, 10 minutes later, I'm in Blytheville. Shout out to Blytheville, okay? But anyway, we're gonna talk about being a champion. Doesn't matter when you get your championship. They can't take away you being a champion. You know what I mean? And I thought about this last week when because I saw this broadcaster that I like, Joe Morgan. He was a newsflash. I used to me and my dad put me on baseball back in the 80s. So baseball was my favorite sport. I mean, I loved it. But Joe Morgan was a broadcaster. I listened to a lot of Joe Morgan games. And I saw he died, and I was like, oh, man, that's kind of sad because, I like Joe Morgan. And I never saw Joe Morgan play a game of baseball, but for me, he was a broadcaster. But a lot of people know Joe Morgan from the Big Red Machine. He was a two-time MVP. He was a champion. He won a couple of championships. And then I looked up Joe Morgan, and they talked about his career and how he went to like another team, the Philadelphia Phillies, and they competed in another World Series back in the early 80s. And I looked up that World Series, and I was like, oh, Cal Ripken was in this World Series. And I know Cal Ripken. I thought he was an excellent baseball player. And Cal Ripken won a championship his first or second year in Major League Baseball. He never went back to another World Series. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Once you're done with your career, people won't ask you. Once you get done, if you shut your online business down eventually, if you're like 90 years old or whatever, and you're like, you know what, I'm done with this online business stuff, and nobody's gonna ask you, when did you make your first million? You just say, hey man, I made a lot of money in my career, So that's the whole point of this. It doesn't matter when you take off. If you just keep going, just keep putting in the work, then it'll take off for you. Like I told you before, and I know we say this a lot, blah 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 blah, but the journey is never ending. You know what I mean? Like the journey is the journey. You're born into the journey. It's never ending. You just keep going. As long as you're moving your feet, you'll be a champion. Like Cal Ripken was the champion his second year in baseball. Gary Payton, his last couple years, he was a champion. What do you call them whenever they do interviews or whatever? These guys, they say NBA champion, MLB champion. And just like Michael Strahan, his last year, he was in a professional football. 15 years later, his 15th year, he won the Super Bowl. Boom. What did they call Michael Strahan? Champion. So it doesn't matter. Like, let's say you come out the gate hot, you come out hotter than the rest of us. In your first year in the online business, you make, $10 million. And maybe you don't make as much as the next 5 to 10 years, but you made $10 million. It doesn't matter because congratulations, you're a millionaire. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter when you made the money. It's just about you sustaining that and keeping it going. Everything's not gonna be a home run. Everything you touch is not gonna be gold. Everybody, even like Jeff Bezos, has failures. So relax, kids. Everything's not gonna be a home run. But as long as you keep going, as long as you keep putting in the work, you will be a champion. First off, to try anything new, to try something new, to start a business, you're already a champion. But you know, you keep doing the little things, and the big things will fall eventually. You know what I mean? Like the money will start flowing in, everything like that. The customers will start pouring in, things of that nature. So don't worry about when you win. It's just a matter of you keep going, and the winning will start. For some, it's gonna start early. For some, it's gonna be a little later. It just depends on timing, luck. You know, luck has something to do with it. But you know, as long as you're prepared and ready to accept the championship, you put yourself in a position to, you know, you're like, all right, I'm ready to win. I'm ready to succeed, and it will happen. Because like I said, like look at Dan Marino. Dan Marino, he went to the Super Bowl his second year, and I remember they was like, well, Dan Marino, he's gonna be back to winning Super Bowls. Dan Marino never went back to the Super Bowl. Dan Marino still had a Hall of Fame career. He's still considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He didn't win the Super Bowl trophy, but Dan Marino had a Hall of Fame career. He's a legend, and he went to one Super Bowl his second year. So, you know, the point is, when your big win comes, you know, you'll be ready, you'll be prepared. But don't think that everything is gonna be a championship. Don't think everything you do is gonna, you know, amount to like you winning the Super Bowl or you being in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, take the small stuff, take the small winnings, take the big winnings, take them all in stride. You know, of course. I mean, me personally, I celebrate. I remember my first sale, my first online sale. I remember I looked and I got it. I was working and I got a thing on my phone, and I was like, oh man, I was like, yes. I remember I got the commission. I got the direct deposit for the commission. I remember I took my wife out to eat, and the commission, I spent more on the dinner than what I made, but I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care. I was like, I know I can do this now. You know, like, I was like, okay, my beak has been wet, and I know I can do this. So where do I go from here? It's a small victory. It's not the Super Bowl, but you know what I mean? You have to celebrate sometimes. You celebrate your first sale. Celebrate your first, you know, if you do whatever you start, you know, you do a blog and you write a blog post. Celebrate that, you know. Celebrate every, you know, not you don't have to make a whole announcement, but to yourself, you know, you just, you know, you're like, hey man, I'm doing this, you know, I'm out here, you know, this is fun. I remember yesterday or the other day, whenever it was, remember I told you about the bus. I was on the bus, and I thought to myself, man, I gotta hurry up and get off this bus, and I gotta hurry up, gotta get off this bus. I got things to do, because why? I was thinking about the podcast, and I'm proud of the podcast. I remember my brother, he was talking to my brother the other day. He said, oh yeah, I told so-and-so you got a podcast. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And he's like, yeah, I'm proud of you. And I was like, oh, that's nice. That's nice of you to say. So my brother's proud of me. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm happy about that. And he's like, just keep going. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll keep going. I like it. I enjoy it a lot. I'm having a good time. Jesus. Let me tell you something, people. This is the thing about recording. This is the thing about recording in the throes of nature, okay? You hear a lot of noise, as I told you the other day. But anyway, yeah, so just don't, you know, if you make $1 million one year and you don't make $1 million the next year, don't beat yourself up, you know? It'll be okay. You'll bounce back. Just figure out what you do. If you want to keep making $1 million, just figure out the stuff that you're doing right, and cut out the stuff that you're doing that is not so good. You know. I mean, that's how it works. You have to delve deep. You know, in order for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to know your strengths, you have to know your weakness, you have to know, you know, what you can do, what you shouldn't try to do. You know, because in order for us to, you know, in order for us to be in a position to win these championships, to win these these accolades. You have to know yourself. You have to work on what you are kind of weak at and what you're good at. Like I know now I'm good at. Well, I'm not gonna. I know now that I can do a podcast and it's not a pain. It's not a pain to me. You know what I mean? Like it's not like when I first was doing videos. I was like, I ain't gotta do a video, and it was a lot of. But I got to work on that. You know what I mean? Like I had to work on that to get to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm comfortable. I can just shoot the video in 10 to 20 minutes like I do the podcast. But a lot of that was just, whatever. I don't have any excuses, but it was just, at the time, I probably didn't have a lot of confidence. But with the podcast, of course, it was hard at first too, but after like 30 days, of course you have to do it like on a regular basis. That's another thing. After like 30 days, I'll say, all right, you know what? I'm comfortable. And now I just plug this thing in and it just, it comes, it flows, it goes, and I know I can do it. But because it's practice. It's a lot of practice. We talking about practice, but no, it's a lot of practice. And we have to, in order for us to become champions, we have to put in the practice. You know what I mean? Like, you want to win, I mean, I know we all want to have the microwave mentality, but for some of us, we're not going to come out the gate making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. Some is going to take a year. Some might take 2 years. Some might take 3 months. It just depends on, the skill set that you already have. Because if you're like me and you worked in warehouses or at a prison or driven a truck, sales or talking to people really hasn't been your thing. So it's a skill that I have to develop. I had to develop because when you're driving a truck, it's quite lonely. The only person I'm talking to is my mother and my wife and my best friend. That's it. And we're not talking. I'm not like, hey, you want to do let me give you a call to action. Click on the link right here. So, you know what I mean? So for some people, you might already have the skills. So you start off. You're already in the game. You start off, but it doesn't mean that you can't develop the skills. Doesn't mean you can't develop your utility belt, the Batman utility belt. Okay, but celebrate little things, celebrate big things, and just like I say all the time, just enjoy the journey because it's never ending. You know what I mean? Like let's just get in here and get our hands dirty and take it from here. Because like I said, I mean you're not already a champion because trying something new, changing a career, changing anything, it's hard work and it's commendable and you should pat yourself on the back. Don't get frustrated if it's something, if you go on YouTube and you see somebody with like 700,000 subscribers, don't get upset, man. If you just keep going and keep shooting them videos, you'll get up there too. It'll take some time, but you'll get the way you want to go. Trust me. Hell, I started this thing from scratch, and away we go. Here we are, and this is not even 3 months. This is episode 100. We're getting close to episode 100, so it's a matter of time. Hell, before you know it, we'll be on episode 364, and I'll be telling you I'm recording this podcast from Waikiki and things of that nature. You hear ocean waves instead of highway noises. All right. But anyway, doesn't matter. Like I said, to wrap this up, I know this has been long, but to wrap this up, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, don't matter. When you win, when you get to where you want to go in your online business, you're a champion. You know what I mean? Well, you're already a champion, but then you'll be a champion in your business. So it's just a matter of you keep going, keep striving, keep moving forward and taking the hits. Don't get annoyed. That's I love Rocky. That's one of my favorite parts because he's just yelling at his son. I hope one day I get to yell at my son like that. But anyway, this week has been a lot of entertaining, these first 3 podcasts. So tomorrow we're gonna get serious, okay, ladies and gentlemen. No, but we are always serious, but at the same time, we are here to make you chuckle a little bit. But just remember, it really doesn't matter because if, like I said, the main thing is just keep going, because there's a lot of people that start this stuff, and there's a lot of people that quit in like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? It's like I give you an example. My wife, she owns a business, and she was just talking to me yesterday about it's a franchise. She has a franchise, but she has one of the better franchises. Now I'm not saying that because she's my wife, but she works really hard at the whole, like, she always says I'm the hardest worker, but nah, she's the hardest worker. I'd much rather be fishing or playing golf or something like that. If somebody dropped I don't know about you, but what would you, if somebody told you right now, hey, I'll give you $50 million, what would you do? What would you do with $50 million bucks? Would you keep working? Would you keep doing this? Would you keep doing this online stuff, or would you be like, you know what? I got $50 million. I could find stuff to do. My wife, she would keep working. She would start buying. She would buy like a bunch of properties, and she would want to do this, and she would want to do that. That's my wife. Me, I already told my wife. I said, look, sweetie. I said, if somebody just handed me $50 million bucks, I'm buying a pickup truck, I'm buying a fishing pole, and I'm buying some golf clubs, because I know what I'm going to be doing on a regular basis. And working and thinking about, I'll do the podcast from the fishing. I'll keep doing the podcast for you, because I like that. I mean, it might be a little different. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we'll do the podcast, but that's probably about it. About all I would have for you. $50 million bucks, please. I'd be a recreational kind of person. You know what I mean? Go see my parents more often, and hopefully my mom will cook for me, because my mom, I don't know about you guys, but my mother is 66, very lovely woman. She listens to this podcast. Hello, Doretha. But when I come home, my nephew says, hey, when you come home, my nephew calls my mom Meemaw, which is, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother podcast. But anyway, he says, Meemaw don't cook when you come home. I say, you know what, nephew, you're definitely right about that. But anyway, $50 million, I'm not doing anything. But my wife, I would work hard. But anyway, the point of all this is, it doesn't matter when your boat comes, just take advantage, keep going, keep practicing, keep doing the little things, and before you know it, you'll be a top affiliate, or you'll be a #1 bookseller, or you'll have like the hottest, YouTube channel or something. Whatever you're striving for, you'll make it. You just have to keep going. And whether it's year 1 or year 20 or year 30 or year 40, a champion is a champion. All right. So another long-winded no, I'm just kidding. Another podcast in the books. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow we'll probably talk about some sales or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. Because this week I've been making a few phone calls. Not as many as I want to, but time crunches, you can't call. I wake up at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock every morning. Can't really call people at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we have to figure that part out. But I've been making a few phone calls. I'll let you know how they've been going. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. My name is Tony Rizzano. We will talk to you tomorrow. As I say sometimes, I normally reserve this on the weekend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if you look at the show, if you look at the episode description or whatever, it's a link below. If you want to get started in the affiliate program, click the link. Put your name, your email, and your telephone number in there, and yours truly will give you a call, and we can see if we can get you started down the path to riches and championships. All right. Anyway, like I said, once again, my name is Tony Rizzano. This is the Affiliate Party Podcast, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, everybody, peace.